The New York Times is no longer the paper of record. You can't go, I read this article, like President Trump is slowing down, President Trump's mental capacity. It is 100% fake. That, he only called me twice at 2 in the morning last week instead of 3 times. You had what was one of the greatest scandals of all time, that the coverage of the Biden administration, Joe Biden's diminished capacity, and the cover-up.
And that's why it's probably fair to raise these questions.
Where was the New York Times? We just had a 3-hour cabinet meeting yesterday, Andrew. For 10 months, the Biden...
He's not tired, but joining us now is host of Stacy on the Right on SiriusXM Patriot, Stacy Washington. Welcome. I know you heard some of that as well. I got to tell you, one of the things that I wanted to jump in with you is this housing affordability issue.
Would first react to that, Stacy. React to that.
So first of all, I went and I looked. Of course, I saw all the headlines the day of. And leading up to this, since the summer, they've been saying that President Trump has tripped. He's slow. When they found out he had a little swelling in one of his legs, which is actually pretty normal for people. Even young people get swelling from flying. But the headlines have been really nasty. He's slowing down. He's having trouble. He can't walk. His chronic venous insufficiency and all these other things, a rare glimpse into his deleterious health issues. What they're doing is they're projecting from what they had with their president. Their president had real issues and they covered it up. And now they want us to have our president having the same thing. And it's just not true.
Stacey, he seems as vibrant as Obama did, bouncing around, traveling hour after hour, late night meetings. If there's anything you can say about him, he's working his fanny off. That's for sure.
He is. And he's the funniest man in America, right? He has the best personality. He's the most memed. He's the most talked about, and he's actually doing the most for Americans. And that's what's important to me. I pray for President Trump's health, just like I did my best to pray for Obama. It was hard, but I did. And for Biden, it was already so far gone. It was an issue of praying for the truth. But in this instance, what they want for President Trump is failure, but he's the president of this country, and I want to see him succeed.
Yeah.
I'm going to go home and I'm going to watch that as part of my dessert tonight, because that was delicious. And it's one reason I love the Treasury Secretary. He's brilliant, but he's not going to sit there and act like, oh, hi, and suck up to that person who also works the person who works at the New York Times.
Move it on.
Housing affordability, this is what Marcus wanted to get into, taking center stage in the United States. Redfin predicting that young Americans are facing major trade-offs in order to afford a place to live. 6% of Americans in 2025 have either moved back in with their parents or moved in with a roommate to lower their costs.
A new survey asked Americans if raising a family is affordable, with 71% disagreeing, a 13% increase from last year. Stacey, I want to jump right in. Is this an economic issue, or is this a moral issue around giving families roots and an ability to actually build a family in this country?
So I'll just start off by saying thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Jerome Powell has allowed his personal feelings for President Trump to prevent him from lowering interest rates, which helps young people get on the property ladder. But that aside, I never had Starbucks to go by. I didn't even get my nails done for the first time until I was in my 30s. There were things that I had as a priority, which was owning our first home. We had rental property back then as well. And so in order to do it, we had a budget. I clipped coupons. We ate at home. We didn't go out unless it was a celebration or my parents were in town and they were treating. And then we started having the kids. I realized we needed to cut costs across the board to get into, our suburban 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath house. And we did it. And I know that people are saying, oh, no, we have to make cuts. But didn't we all? I'm old enough to remember that. And if I wanted to do something amazing now and I needed to save some money, I would stop going to auctions and estate sales and stop going to the thrift store and, antiquing. And I would put that money into a money market account and put it on aggressive. And I would save the money up to do what I want to do. I'm not saying the circumstances are as good as they were back when we bought our first home, but I'm saying it's not impossible. And I'm kind of tired of the whining. No offense.
I just, Stacy, don't want people. I've been in the situation of looking for a house and buy, and you overreach, and you wind up with $400,000 loan at over 6%, and on a property, you know, $500,000 property that's wildly overvalued, and if it falls in price, you get stuck. And so there's this, you know, you're eager to start a family, you're eager to settle down, you want to own and not rent, but you go deep into debt to get it. And I just worry about, you know, you got to take your time and find the right one at the right price.
But overreaching is a function of overlending, right?
Yeah. Well, but even there, it's what feels good to you.
Yeah.
And so I encourage young people, take advantage of those young ovaries and those young physical bodies and have those babies. You don't have to have a house to have a baby. But then when it comes to buying the house, it's the worst house in the best neighborhood. And maybe you have to move to the South, right? Maybe you have to leave the big metropolitan area to get into a smaller town to buy something that you can afford. But Dagan, you are so right. Overreaching means you're stuck with a house that never really achieves the value, but you still owe those hundreds of thousands of dollars on it. So sit down with some people who already own a home, talk to them about what they went through, get some advice, but have the babies now while your ovaries are young.
Yes.
And get into the house when you can.
Don't wait to have the babies.
Thanks, Stacy.
That's right. Thank you, guys.